Welcome to Talking Heads, a project of the Africa Centre based in Cape Town. Each week, we bring you the experts, mavericks, and the thought leaders who are demanding we think differently about who and what it means to be African.
Hello, and welcome to Talking Heads. Shall we begin?
I visited the Science Centre with my 7-year-old nephew. Every few steps was another explanation for why the things we take for granted work the way they do. The car, the science of sound, the fact of gravity, a pack of matches, chemical reactions, combustion, friction, magnetic fields, and electric circuits. Some of the diagrams and demonstrations nudged my memory of high school science, but mostly the theorems and proofs don't form a huge part of my consciousness in my day-to-day doings. And yet, they're the reason so much of what we do can be done. And knowing about them, at least having some basic understanding of why things work, seems important. Even more important is encouraging this curiosity and knowledge amongst young children, and especially young girls. Statistics show that women are underrepresented in the STEM fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The reasons for this are complex and nuanced, but incredibly problematic in pushing the myth that men make better scientists, or that women are not really technically minded. It's obviously not true, and anyone intelligent knows that. But nonetheless, girls are often discouraged from pursuing careers in these fields. Surely, this is a problem. Dr. Korsah teaches robotics, programming, data structures, and algorithm at Ashesi University in Accra, Ghana. She has a PhD in robotics and artificial intelligence from the Robotics Institute at Carnegie Mellon University, Pittsburgh in the USA. She also has an MSc in engineering and computer science from Dartmouth College, Hanover. Early this year, Dr. Korsah co-founded the Africa Robotics Network, which aims to help get more people in Africa interested in computer science through robotics. I am Yewande Omotose, and today I'm talking with Ayorkor Korsah about her work at Ashesi University. Ayorkor, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Your bio is incredibly impressive and inspiring. Could you explain in as lay terms as possible what your contribution to Ashesi focuses on?
So I'm a member of the faculty in the computer science department at Ashesi. So what that means is I do a lot of teaching. I teach the computer science students early on in the program, some programming, as well as a course called Data Structures, which is about how to organize data in the most efficient way for various purposes. I also teach them a little later on in the program an elective course on robotics, where the students learn how to program autonomous machines or devices to do things in the environment. I also teach an algorithms course, which is all about how to efficiently solve various types of problems. Apart from teaching, of course, as faculty, we work with students on projects, and we also contribute to the development of the university in terms of things like curriculum development.
What made you want to study engineering?
Well, initially, as a student, I loved science and math. And in high school, when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, someone told me, well, if you love science and math, then you should do engineering. I didn't really know much about what engineering was about back then. But I did do a lot of investigation, and I went to a university which was quite flexible in terms, it had a liberal arts philosophy, and you didn't have to know going in exactly what you wanted to do, but you had the opportunity to explore. And it was through that exploration I discovered my love of computing and computer science and computer engineering.
When did you join Ashesi, and what's your experience of being a teacher at this university?
I first taught at Ashesi back in 2003, which was just a year or so after the university started. I served as a visiting faculty on a couple of occasions, and I finally joined the university full-time in 2011. I love it. I love being faculty here. It's a job that feels more of a vocation than a job, because every day you feel like you're making a difference to the future of Africa. I really love the liberal arts philosophy, which basically states that students shouldn't be narrow. Students should have the opportunity for a broad education, should understand a variety of fields, be able to approach problems from a variety of points of view. And I think that's really important, because the challenges that face us in Africa and basically around the world require creative thinking, and they require students who can think outside of the box and not be constrained by purely disciplinary thinking.
Oftentimes, children are incredibly bright, and then they get steered. They get steered by whatever external forces towards one thing or another, and not always the chance to explore. And then I've met a lot of adults who, again, are incredibly intelligent. They're in professions that require a massive amount of intelligence, but they're not particularly happy.
That does happen, and I think it's important to find out what you're passionate about, but I think it's also important to figure out how to make what you are doing meaningful, and to have, you can be a computer scientist, you can be an engineer, you can be an artist, but when you are able to apply those professions to problems that you really care about, that's when you're able to develop a love and a passion for what you do.
Could you speak about the Africa Robotics Network? What is it and how does it work?
The African Robotics Network is an online community of people interested in or engaged in robotics in Africa. The purpose of the network is to promote cooperation and collaboration among people working in robotics, and it started because there are actually a number of people, researchers, students engaged in robotics in Africa, but it's not what you would necessarily think of. I mean, robotics isn't the first thing people think about when they think about Africa. So we thought it would be helpful to actually create this network to provide a sense of community, as well as to provide further opportunities for collaboration. Apart from this online community, which allows people to communicate with each other, we also periodically have what we describe as design challenges around a particular theme. So for the past couple of years, our design challenges have been on the theme of educational robotics. Design challenges that we have sponsored together with the IEEE over the past couple of years have focused on designing ultra-affordable educational robotics platforms. So, for example, we described the first challenge as the $10 robot challenge, and asked designers whether they could create an educational robot that would cost $10. One of the ones that we loved was called the Lollybot, or is called the Lollybot, and that is a robot made out of a repurposed game controller. So a game controller you would use for playing, a Nintendo or something like that, was redesigned to be a robot, and it uses two lollipops as bumper sensors on the robot, and so it's called the Lollybot. That was a really fun one.
And what's actually great about that is it's recycling, I guess, because those are things that get thrown away after a while.
Exactly. And, so a couple of people have done sort of test workshops using this platform with students. And it's amazing, for example, here at Ashesi, we did a workshop for high school students using this robot, which was actually designed by a designer from Thailand. And the students were just blown away about how they could take a familiar object like that and turn it into a robot. And it really hit home to them that robotics isn't something that's exotic. You can use everyday materials and actually create an autonomous system. And that was fascinating.
Well, considering all that you're involved in, what do you think the future of robotics and engineering on the African continent is? And, what do you think is the relevance of this?
Well, first of all, I like to think of myself as an educator. And one of the great things about robotics is that it's a great tool to get young people excited about science and technology. And when we have a whole, should I say, army or huge contingent of young people on the continent, it's excited about and engaged in science and technology in a variety of forms, they're going to come up with creative solutions for the problems that face us every day. And I think the future of Africa really depends on our young people participating in civilization building, becoming creators of technology rather than just consumers. Because when you know how to create, then you can create solutions. You don't have to wait for someone else to create solutions for you.
What are your hopes for the future? Are there any exciting projects coming out of your initiative at Ashesi? Anything you want to share with us?
Well, so with respect to the African Robotics Network, we'll be trying to make available a low-cost educational robotics kit for use by schools or families. With respect to Ashesi, I'm always excited every day at the students that we're graduating and the things that they're doing in terms of solving problems. Problems I would not necessarily have even thought of in terms of solutions too. So, for example, a recent graduate of Ashesi recently at his company implemented a system that allows people without ATM cards that use just mobile money services to withdraw money from ATMs, which is huge in terms of getting the large population of people who are unbanked be able to access financial services. And so I'm just excited every day at the students that we're graduating and the creative solutions they're going to come up with to problems that are relevant to our day-to-day lives in Africa.
Ayorkor, thank you very much for speaking to us. Thank you for the work that you do and the difference that it makes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share what we're involved in.
To find out more about Dr. Ayorkor Korsah's work and to listen to other podcasts, visit www.talkingheads.org.za.